Judy Myhand, instructor in the School of Nutrition and Food Sciences at Louisiana State University. I would like to introduce Celeste Finney. Celeste is the program manager for Seeds to Success, the Louisiana Farm to School program, and she was my student, and I'm so happy to be working side by side, so to speak, with her today.
Well, thanks, Judy, and hello everyone at home. I'm so glad you could join us today. You know, cooking, baking, being in the kitchen are absolutely some of my favorite things to do, and it all started in the kitchen lab with you.
All right, very good, very good. So today we're sharing our citrus harvest of the month recipe, orange cranberry oatmeal with a satsuma twist. It features Louisiana citrus.
Sounds great. You know, oatmeal is one of my favorites. It's easy to make, it keeps me full all morning, and it's so versatile.
There's so much that's good about this recipe. The oatmeal is good for you because of all the nutrients and dietary fiber, and the oranges add great flavor and nutrition too.
Okay, well, I'm so excited to share the different ways to prepare this dish. Overnight oats is a great option if you're pressed for time, you need to make breakfast ahead of time. You can make this one recipe on Sunday and have breakfast for the whole week. It's ready to go in the fridge for Monday. So, really, it's kind of the best of both worlds where you get a healthy meal, but it's also really simple to do. So I'm going to take all of my same ingredients for this recipe that we're going to do over the stove. I'm going to take my old-fashioned oats, usually have the best texture when you're working with overnight oats, and I'm going to just combine everything right here in the bowl. So I have my milk, I have my dried cranberries, a little bit of brown sugar, regular sugar, cinnamon. I'm going to add my oranges even, toast my nuts, which is optional if you want to add that. Those walnuts or pecans are a great way to get those healthy fats and really bring out the flavor. And then once it's all stirred up, you simply portion it into your different containers. This particular recipe makes 5 servings. So you'll take all of your different servings, and then all they do is sit in the fridge overnight and you have them all week. It's really that simple, you forget about it, basically.
And it's also delicious, but we'll be taste testing it in a little while. So now I'm going to demonstrate making the stovetop recipe. And what we need for the stovetop recipe are 2 oranges or satsumas, 2 3/4 cups of milk, a teaspoon of orange zest, a 1/2 cup of dried cranberries, 2.5 cups of oats, and like we said, we use the old-fashioned oats, 2 teaspoons of brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of white sugar, and 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. So the first thing that we're going to do, I noticed on the top of the overnight oats that you had some beautifully sectioned oranges. So what we need to do is show people how to get those kinds of sections. And the method is called supreming. But before we supreme, Celeste is going to show you how to get that very important orange zest.
Great, thanks, Judy.
We've washed these oranges.
Yes, and it's important also to remember to zest before you cut them. It's really hard to get the zest off the peel if you're working with an orange slice or an orange peel. So I'm going to take a rinsed orange, and I'm going to take a zester or grater, and I'm going to just hold it firmly on my cutting board. Get some good motions across the top of the peel to get that nice orange zest. And what's so great about zest, what a lot of people may not realize, is that it adds just that little zing of flavor that makes the recipe really come alive and make the flavor come alive. A lot of the essential oils in the citrus are actually in the peel. So it's a great way to add that and kind of enhance that flavor profile of the recipe.
So I'm going to supreme this orange. It's a tricky technique, and it'll make you appreciate the fact that if you didn't have to do this because you had some nice tender sections of satsuma, you'd be glad. But here we go with supreme. So the first thing that you always want to do when you're cutting something is make sure you have a flat side. So for me, that means I'll just cut right here. And then I'm going to take this knife and in the best possible way, I'm going to cut as much peel off as I can, but leave as much orange as I can. I'll keep going around like this. And while I'm doing this, Celeste is going to tell you a little bit about citrus.
Yeah, so here in Louisiana, one of our most cold hardy crops are the satsuma as far as citrus goes. And satsumas actually originated in Japan and were brought over here to the Gulf Coast, all the way from Florida to South Texas, and planted along the coast, over 1 million trees back in the 1800s. And it's one of our staple crops here in Louisiana today. So you may notice too, satsumas might be hard to find this year. You know, our coastline was greatly impacted by Hurricane Ida, which affected how many satsumas will make it to market. But if you do see satsumas, definitely support those local Louisiana farmers.
So what you'll see that I'm doing right now is I'm going in next to the membrane on the orange with my little knife, and I'm cutting down like that and then twisting the knife so that the orange section goes right into the little bowl. And I'm going to continue doing that around until I've got all of the orange separated from the membrane.
And so these orange sections really have the most flavorful part of the orange. You're really kind of, by suppressing them in this way, you're getting rid of that bitter flavor of the pip or the peel of the orange.
That's right.
Makes it a lot easier texture-wise too, if it's in a fruit salad
or attractive, like it is.
Or
on
attractive,
top of it.
very
Right.
fancy. You want to impress your friends.
So another thing that you can do is just take the orange, the stuff that's left next to the membranes, and squeeze them so you have a little bit of juice in there, and that's delicious added into your oatmeal as well.
Yeah. So if you might be short on time, like I normally am, and you don't have time to supreme the orange, you can also just take the easy way out and peel it. Now here we have a mandarin. Satsumas are even easier to peel than mandarins. The peeling comes off very easy with satsumas, which is really a positive. It's great as a snack even for kids to peel on their own. So I'm going to take the peel off. Here we have our little segments. So for your overnight oats or for your stovetop preparation, you can easily just break each one apart in segments or keep it whole as a segment. And slice just like that. This is even an optional step. If you want to just put the whole orange segments on top of your oats, that's fine too. There's really no right or wrong way to do it.
To start cooking the oatmeal on top of the stove, the first thing that you do is bring the milk to a boil. And you can use any kind of milk. You can use soy milk, almond milk, or, as we're doing, cow milk. So I'm going to bring this to a boil.
Okay, so while we're waiting for the milk to come to a boil, I'm going to demonstrate how to toast nuts. So here I have some great Louisiana pecans, and I have a skillet turned on to about medium low. You're just going to put the pecans on the skillet and let them toast. It's really important to remember not to walk away because they will burn quicker than you realize. Another way to toast them is to do it in a toaster oven or an oven at about 350 degrees for just honestly a minute or two. It doesn't take long at all. But what's great about toasting the nuts is that it brings all of those flavors to the surface of the nut. It really enhances the flavor. It brings out that nuttiness, even like hints of caramel, and really makes it crunchy. It just gives it a nice nice little kick of flavor.
So it's a great topping for our oatmeal.
Great topping, yes.
So the milk has started to boil, and it's time for us to cut it back to a simmer and add the oats and the cranberries, the sugars, the cinnamon, and the orange zest. All right.
And it's really starting to smell nice in
Doesn't
here.
it
It smells
smell
like
good?
fall with
Right.
the roasted pecans.
Roasted pecans and that wonderful orange zest. It smells so good. Okay, there we go. The oats. Orange zest. Just a little bit of sugar. A couple of teaspoons of brown sugar. 1 teaspoon of light sugar. 1/3 of a cup of cranberries. Half a cup of cranberries.
And the cranberry and orange flavors just go together so nicely. It really brings out that fall kind of flavor.
Mm-hmm. Can I borrow your spoon? Thank you so much. Okay. Stir this in here. Good. So we're going to let this simmer for about 5 minutes, and when it's done, we'll serve it up and give it a try.
Sounds great.
Well, actually, no. We'll fold in some oranges, and then we'll serve it up and give it a try. Okay. I think our oatmeal is ready to serve up. I'm going to scoop a little. Stir it here. I'm going to add the oranges. I might not put them all into this mixture. I might put some sections on top. There was even a little bit of juice in there.
It smells great.
Doesn't it smell good? All right. Oh, for goodness sakes. All right. So now.
I love how colorful it is with the cranberries
Oh.
and the oranges together.
Right.
The oats.
So on the right-hand side here, we have the overnight oats, where you can still see the texture of the oats, and then the stovetop oats that are soft, and they hydrate it a little bit more.
And you know, you can even play around with the texture of the overnight oats, depending on how you like it. So if you want a little bit more soupier, creamier oatmeal in the morning, you add a little bit more milk. Overnight, those oats are gonna suck up that milk and that moisture, and so it's gonna change depending on even the batch of oatmeal that you eat Monday morning versus Friday morning. That makes a difference too. So it's really kind of fun to see how you can play a really customized recipe to your liking.
Okay, very good. Okay, so now it's time for us to taste it. So I'm going to taste some of these oats right here. Make sure I get a little piece of that Louisiana citrus in here.
Oh, the pecans are just beautiful.
Delicious. So this is a great way to start your day with a farm fresh meal from Louisiana, and it's so good for you.
It sure is. Thanks for joining us.